Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is Friday, the 18th of October, 2019. Sorry I'm a little late. I was just having a little conversation with our friend Roger from Oz, and I was a little bit late and we were having a little bit back and forth, and he was imitating our friend Greta from Sverige. And he was complaining about me being late, and I said, oh yeah, I'm late. And he said, I've ruined his YouTube viewing. I shouldn't be here. I should be on the other side of the internet on BitChute. How dare you? And, well, that comment got held up for review. And I thought, they can't read sarcasm. They don't know what we're talking about on YouTube. Why would they hold up a comment that says, I shouldn't be here. I should be on the other side of the internet on BitChute. How dare you? Well, I said to him, Roger from Oz, could you kindly write the word BitChute again and see if the YouTube censors pick it up? And here you go. Excuse me. Roger, I shouldn't be here. I should be on the other side of the internet on BitChute. Now, I approved that comment by clicking show. How dare you? And I said, Roger, your comment was held for review. The word BitChute must have triggered the YouTube algorithm. Try it again. And there you go. Roger writes, BitChute. It's going to be in the transcript now. Oh, by the way, if this video is going to be demonetized, it's going to be demonetized because I never had monetization. So go ahead and demonetize, deboost, whatever you got to do, YouTube, because I said BitChute. And Roger said BitChute. And guess what I did? I showed the word BitChute. There it is. BitChute. Speaking of BitChute, I wasn't even going to do this tonight, but might as well talk about BitChute if that's what gets YouTube all excited. Well, this is good news for BitChooters. By the way, my videos now, not that they get enormous amounts of views on YouTube, they get equal amounts on BitChute, which is, that's a good thing, as Bernie would say. So I have 3,980 subscribers on YouTube. A lot of good that does me when I only get 200 views. The last video I did got 151 views on YouTube, got about 200 on BitChute. I only have 282 subscribers over on BitChute. But BitChute is going to do monetization. According to BitChute, you may have noticed, we are currently testing advertising. This feature will be available to creators by mid-November. I'm going to sign up for that. I'm not signed up for it on YouTube, but I will sign up for it on BitChute. It says more details will follow. I've also am going to interview and have on this channel. I'm pre-announcing it. We haven't worked out the arrangements. An interview with the BitChute operators and have them on and ask them about what they think of the world of finance and the world of YouTube and censorship and so on. So look forward to that. I'll say BitChute again and make sure that this video gets very little distribution. Not that it was going to get any anyway on YouTube, but BitChute apparently triggers YouTube. And I guess they want me to censor that comment. If anybody wants to write BitChute in the comments section, that is a bozo no-no. You cannot write BitChute in the comments. That is not okay. I thought it was, how dare you? But that's okay to say. I guess I can say Greta Lundberg, or whatever her name is. But BitChute is a very bad word. BitChute is the word that thou shalt not say. You should not say BitChute on YouTube. I think I've said it enough. All right, let's get into tonight's topic. We'll leave BitChute behind and talk about the Fed and what the Fed is doing. You must have been around to your pumper channels and hear about the outrageous things that are going on with the Fed. Now, anyone who's been following this channel knows that we did a video, or series of videos, on the theory that the dumb Fed theory. And the dumb Fed theory, as Bernie would say, is about how man can mess with nature just as man can mess with economic systems. And once you mess with an economic system or nature, and you build something like a dam or some type of financial system, it requires constant maintenance. And when you see maintenance on the dam, you should worry. But you should also worry if you don't see maintenance on the dam. I think what happens is people like to worry, and they only worry one way. They just assume that working on the dam means that there's a dam problem. That could also be just maintenance. My view on all this repo madness and whatever you want to call it is the Fed created this system. They're trying to create a system where they're lowering interest rates. They can't just snap a finger and lower interest rates. They can't just ask people to lend money to each other at the rate of 2% or lower. No, they have to make it happen. Now, that's intervention. That's not a good thing. Well, some people say it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. But what I don't do on this channel is rant and rave about what should and should not be. I'm in no position to wave a magic wand and change whatever financial system we have. I think some people think by binge watching YouTube videos, the system is going to change. It's not. What I'm trying to do is analyze what's happening. People, they want me. I mean, I guess people love being triggered. They want to hear some type of emotional reaction, railing against the Fed. In the Fed, as Ron Paul would say. That's not going to, that's never going to happen. That's not going to happen. So anyway, then this unsustainable, they want to hear it's unsustainable. Yeah, everything's unsustainable. Your life is unsustainable. Anything man-made clearly is unsustainable. And now gold, that'll go on for a long time. But that doesn't mean the gold you're holding is going to be worth a lot of fiat dollars when the fiat system eventually collapses, whenever it does, in maybe 50, 100, 200 years from now. In any event, the whole idea behind the damn Fed theory is that the Fed is doing whatever it damn well needs to do to keep the dam from bursting. It has set up this artifice. It created the $4 trillion balance sheet. It created the low interest rates. It insisted that other central banks do negative interest rates, that other central banks like the ECB and the Bank of Japan, the Bank of England also do QE, that they buy corporate bonds, that they buy ETFs, that they buy government bonds of their own country, they do QE. What do you expect? And then they decided, the Fed, while the rest of the world was doing that, they were going to raise interest rates. Well, they did all that, and they were going to lower their balance sheet. Well, it's not so simple. Having got that far into it, it wasn't as easy to unwind all of that QE with quantitative easing and then go to quantitative tightening. Just started not to work. Now, none of this means, now the two are connected, the economic systems and the financial systems and the markets in general and the economy. But the real issue here, this is a damn issue. This is the damn Fed. This is an issue of the financial system, which many people listening would say, well, that's not the economy. That's right, it's not. And when people see cracks in the financial system, they automatically assume that there's an issue with the economy. There's not, other than how the financial system could impact the economy, because the two are so interwoven because of the damn system, the way they created this whole Federal Reserve, Central Bank, Bank of International Settlements, IMF system, debt-based, clearly debt-based. But however, people don't realize that the debt-based system, it's easier to fix than when we had a gold standard. When you had a gold standard, there were times when a bank ran out of gold, and therefore they ran out of essentially money, so they had to borrow money from other banks, and sometimes they couldn't get the gold there fast enough to back the monies that they were going to borrow. They didn't have the overnight repo market and all this other, because that couldn't happen with gold. The amount of value in the banking system is so immense. The amount of debt in the system is so immense that there's not gold backing to all of it. There couldn't possibly be, unless gold was hundreds of thousands of dollars an ounce. That's never going to happen. You couldn't buy a gold ring if that were the case. All right, so let's get into exactly what's happening. Now that you know my point of view here, I'm not alarmed by this. I'd be alarmed if they weren't doing this kind of stuff. It's surprising they didn't have to do this earlier. The other thing is, you don't know if they were doing this earlier or not. Excuse me. Okay, so the latest news now, we covered this. The first thing that they did was they did the repo. And I did a video. Did you hear about the repo? The Fed is doing the repo. Oh, yeah, the Fed's doing the repo. That's basically providing overnight liquidity. But part of the repo to remember the primary dealers, we talked about them. About 29 too big to fail banks. About 14 of them are foreign central banks. Right on the Fed's website, it says that these primary dealers work with the Fed to help the Fed achieve its monetary policy goals. I mean, remember, these banks got their own, you would think, that they're out there trying to make money for their shareholders. Well, they are, but they're also partners with the Fed in helping the Fed execute its monetary strategy. And they do that, according to the Fed. It's on their Fed's website. You can go back and look at the other videos I've done on this, or I've linked to it. There's screenshots on Smaulgld's website where they are obligated to participate in treasury auctions that the Fed holds and so on. So these banks are working with the Fed. Now, that's the repo. Now, the repo is overnight, whereby the Fed offers, if you bring your collateral, and there was a lot of confusion on this in the pumper channels, the collateral is, as stated, U.S. Treasury bonds, agency debt, and agency mortgage-backed securities. Now, a lot of the channels are jumping up and down saying mortgage-backed securities, this means like the Big Short, this is a big problem. The Fed is a pawn shop. They're taking any old collateral. They could be taking CLOs, ICOs, MBOs, CMOs, HBOs. No, wrong. They're taking agency mortgage-backed securities, which are not the bank-issued mortgage-backed securities that you saw in the Big Short, where they just bundled up a bunch of bad mortgages and got them A+ rated by Moody's and Standard & Poor's. No, these could be just as bad mortgages. They could even be worse, but they're guaranteed by the U.S. government, just like the U.S. Treasury bonds are. So they're as good as a Treasury bond in terms of credit. That's what they're taking for the overnight. And for another part that people, because the word repo is so popular, but the other part of the plan is short-term loans. They're 14-day loans. Now, then they announced $60 billion a month in buying outright short-term bonds. So you got to keep the two separate. So actually, you keep the one separate between the overnight, which the repo is the overnight, and the 14-day ones, liquidity added by the Fed, and then there's this $60 billion a month in bond buying. All this goes into next week, and this has gotten people all excited that this is a problem. It's damn maintenance. It's the damn maintenance on the damn Federal Reserve. That's what it is. Now, let's take a look at the balance sheet of the Fed. We looked at the balance sheet just for purposes of explaining to people that the Fed's not adding to that $1.4 billion, $1.4 trillion mortgage-backed security position. That's where they bought the toxic mortgage-backed securities from the too big to fail banks at 100% on the dollar. Now, that was outrageous, and that was clearly a bailout of the banks. So the Fed has that garbage on its balance sheet. You can see it there. I've driven an arrow. I guess you can drive an arrow. You can draw an arrow. And the mortgage-backed securities, 1.467 million. And then there was some confusion. Why isn't that number growing? The Fed's admitting they're buying mortgage-backed securities. They're lying. You know, people were thinking they found something. No, the agency mortgage-backed securities that they're offering to be put up as collateral for the loans, or they show up under a separate line called the repurchase agreements. You can see that line. I drew an arrow there. That's $171 billion. Now, again, those are different mortgage-backed securities. They're the agency mortgage-backed securities. But the other thing about those repurchase agreements, as you see there, why isn't that number over $1 trillion? I mean, after all, they've been doing $75 billion a day for over a month. Well, the answer is that for the good bulk of it is it's overnight. So it never sticks on the balance sheet. It's there for a day and it goes away. And then they add more the next day and it goes away. That $171 billion right there, that for the week ended October 2nd, we're going to do an updated one as of yesterday or 2 days ago. That reflects the longer term 14-day repo agreements. So it's not just the, you don't just add up how many days they've been doing $75 billion a day. And when they do, the repos, the bulk of them are in $75 billion a day in overnight. Sometimes the 14-day ones get to be about $30, $40 billion. And in fact, yesterday, the Wall Street Journal was talking about, and I was trying to get the updated number for today. It might be ready by the time we get off this call here, is the Fed yesterday or on Thursday did 104 billion, and I think that was about 30 billion in the 14-day, and then the rest was in the, the 70 plus billion was in the overnight. So really only the 30 billion hits the balance sheet. The overnight stuff gets washed out. All right, now let's look at the balance sheet. Let me just see if the last I checked the site, site maintenance. I check this every day. I see what the Fed is adding, and they keep the last 25 days. I've been trying to keep, if I don't look at it enough, I could miss a couple of days, but I try to keep a chart on this, on how much they're doing every day. And they're going to do a lot of it. There's no two ways about it, and there's a lot of work to be done on the dome. There's no two ways about it. But let's look at an updated balance sheet now. That's the one from a couple of weeks ago when I was first explaining this. This one is the most recent one. This came out yesterday. You can see the mortgage-backed securities is still the 1.468, and the repo agreements are about the same too, 174 billion. And that's because if they had done 14-day ones arrangements 2-3 weeks ago, well, those are gone again. They've been repoed and they're finished. And then if they did another one and replaced it, then it gets back added in. So 14-day and overnight repos are not really going to add. You're not going to get to $1 trillion, I wouldn't think. You'd have to keep doing them, and it'd be very hard to continue to expand the balance sheet that way. That's not the purpose of this exercise. The purpose of this exercise for the Fed is not so their balance sheet is bigger. It's so that they can keep the overnight rates closer to lower than 2%. And the purpose of the bond buying, the short-term bond, again, is not a bailout. It's to manipulate interest rates. The Fed has said that setting interest rates and bringing them down to zero and bringing them into negative territory is not how they want to conduct monetary policy. They've said they want to buy assets. Now, they also said that they are concerned that just buying mortgage-backed securities and treasuries may not be enough. If there's a downturn, then they would do what they call QE. All this other stuff they don't call QE. And I really don't think it's important. A lot of people, again, getting all snarky over whether it's not QE, they're lying. Who cares what you call it? It's what the effect of it is and what they're actually doing. So right now, if they're doing overnight repo, 14-day repo, and short-term purchase of treasury bonds, call it what you want. That's what they're doing. But if they start buying corporate bonds, stocks, they can call out something else. Just know what they're doing is more important than what they called it. By the way, I saw the other day, this is a sidetrack here, Trump gave someone probably wrote it for him. He was meeting with the president of Italy or someone, I think the name was Manzarella, he was calling her mozzarella. But put that aside. He made a pretty much a standard issue comment. He made two comments. He said, one, Italy and the United States share a common tradition going back to ancient Rome. And then he mentioned it was Columbus Day, and he mentioned something about Columbus. Well, all the snarky blue check know-it-alls on Twitter were going on and on and on about ignorant Trump. Well, first of all, the United States and Italy, clearly the United States shares a common heritage with Rome. If you know anything about Thomas Jefferson, Madison, these guys read Greek and Roman stuff. They were all over it. The Constitution was based on that. If you look at Capitol Hill, all the architecture is based on ancient Roman architecture. George Washington was familiar with Cincinnati. I can go on and on. The point is, this is another one of those examples. It's very irritating when you get the snark of supposed intellectual superiority when you're actually being a moron. When you actually think that the United States doesn't share a history with ancient Rome. And you see that when people get snarky, like, I got more gold than they have at Fort Knox, ha, ha, ha. Like, it's common knowledge that there's no gold at Fort Knox. Like, it's common knowledge that the United States has nothing to do with ancient Rome. Anyway, let's get back to the Federal Reserve here, and you can see there's the balance sheet. Now, before we leave this is going to go on. This is dam. They're working on the dam. If they are going to do this. And then people say, well, this means the system is screwed up. Of course it does. But tell us something we don't know. And I mean, this is what they have to do, having already done what they've done. Anyone expecting that somehow they're just going to unwind QE, they're going to unwind the debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme globally, and we're going to go back to like a before, it's not going to happen. Of course they're going to do this. They're going to print the money. They're going to do the helicopter money. They're going to do the drops. It's going to be a difference between monetary policy, fiscal policy. They're never going to stop. The question is this unsustainable. You don't know. The point is, it is very easy to fix things if you own the printing press. If people believe in the printing press. But at some point, yeah, at some point, everything. At some point, you're going to die. The point is that people keep saying that people are going to lose faith in the system. Who? Who's losing faith in the system? I mean, yeah, there's people that have lost faith in the system. There's always been people who didn't have faith in the system. You know, during the gold standard, people didn't have faith in the gold standard. A lot of problems with the gold standard, especially the Bretton Woods gold standard. Did the United States have the amount of gold to back it up? Well, France, Germany, and Switzerland didn't think so. They're always coming to get their gold for their dollars. There are a lot of problems in any financial system. There's no panacea. There's no, well, a gold standard fixes everything. No, it doesn't. There's shortages of gold. You end up relying on third world countries for gold supply, like South Africa. There is no ideal financial system. The fiat system is horrendous for many reasons. The only advantage to a fiat system, a debt-based fiat system, is the more debt that is created, that means the more demand there is for dollars. Now that's circular, but it actually helps keep the system. That's what's going on right now. There's so much debt. There's so much demand for dollars to pay for stuff that the Fed has to print the money. It's just the way it works. All these systems, there's no such thing as a perfect financial system. Ideally, the systems would all be maybe not even interconnected. There would be regional currencies, there'd be regional economies, but we don't have that. We have global supply chains, we have global trade. This is what we have, and this is what the Fed has to do. Is it right? Well, you could say the whole system is wrong, but if you have this system, if you got the dam, you have to fix the dam, and they've got to do all this kind of money printing. And getting all snarky and say, well, this means it's going to collapse. Yeah, you've been saying it for 10 years, and one day it will collapse. One day everything will collapse. But I don't give any special credit for insight. Just because you don't like the money printing, who does? All right, let's see who else we got here. Oh, one other thing. Another point on yield curve. There's another one. Remember, it was like a year ago when the yield curve inverted for the first time. Then it was game over, game changer, collapse, unsustainable recession, on and on and on. Well, that didn't happen. Well, it hasn't happened yet. Well, the problem with that whole argument is that when the yield curve inverts, within 6 to 24 months, you have a recession. Well, under normal times, you always had a recession within every 3 or 4 years. So that's not saying much. Well, today you don't have recessions the way they define them. Why? The Fed doesn't allow them. They printed the money. So you don't have a recession according to the way, either because of what they do, which is printed the money or lower the interest rates, or the way they measure GDP, or both. Therefore, you don't have a recession. We could be in a recession right now. We could have been in a recession for the last 10 years. We could have had negative growth. We could be having negative growth, but for the way they report it and but for the amount of intervention they've done. Just like China. Oh, you got 6% growth. Yeah, by the way you measure it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But anyway, we heard back in December, inverted yield curve, here comes the crash. Now the latest one is, well, the yield curve is uninverted, right? Now the yield curve is steepening. Well, here comes the crash. They were saying that back in June. Then if the yield curve flattens, it turns back to kind of, neither going in either direction. Well, here comes the crash. There's always a reason to predict a crash or a recession, and you'll always get a bunch of people ready to line up and binge watch back, I remember, during the inverted yield curve, every pumper channel was talking about the inverted yield curve, then the steepening yield curve. Now it's the repo. Everyone wants to hear like they've got some inside track as to when everything is going to collapse. All right, what else now? Now, the reason for the inverted yield curve, again, even if that was somewhat of a accurate harbinger to a recession, as I've mentioned, they've interfered so much with the concept of a GDP and positive GDP growth and so on, and how to prevent it or how to change the numbers, that it's meaningless. But even more so, the yield curves are so screwed up now because of Fed tremendous intervention. When you have negative interest rates and zero interest rates, there's clearly something wrong. And you can't just look at the yield curves of the old days when you had maybe a 10% 30-year and you had a range of positive numbers on sovereign debt. I mean, today, I don't have the chart right now. De Calle, whatever his name is, the Spanish economist, he posted a very good chart. He showed like 15 different sovereign debt yields going from like the 1 year to the 30 year. Not every country has every year in there, but you can see how some were inverted, some weren't. The point is, all this is screwed up because of central bank intervention to the point where they have negative yields. But there's an interesting one here where JP Morgan veteran refuses to buy insane negative yield bonds. And then I wrote at the top, until the Fed tells him he has to. I mean, if the Fed ever goes to zero, negative, which I don't expect them to do, they're going to have, maybe JP Morgan won't have to buy them for their clients, but JP Morgan's going to have to participate in treasury auctions at a negative rate if that's what the Fed decides to do. Now, the Fed's already said they're probably going to do asset purchases rather than go to negative, but who knows how desperate they'll get if there is a recession the way they record it, and they can't change the definition of recession. All right, what else do we have? I think that's it for tonight. Yeah, I'll just say BitChute one more time. I'll troll for donation. Yeah, go over to BitChute and sign up over there, please, because that eventually this isn't, as I mentioned, and people still don't get it. They think I'm going to be here forever. I'm not going to stay on YouTube forever. So I'm not going to take it. It's not going to. The only reason I stay on YouTube is for the live stream and when it works. Otherwise, I'm not even picking up new subscribers. My subscriber count has been stuck at 3980 for like 6 months. So I'm not getting anyone. Maybe I am, but they're not recording them. They're unsubscribing people. I have no idea, but I'm definitely getting much bigger pickup over on BitChute. And I have patrons, Subscribe Star members, and just people who generally keep in touch with me that I can keep in touch with and provide content to without YouTube. I mean, it's not really a big I'm lucky in that sense. I haven't benefited from any surge in YouTube revenue. I don't have super chats or any of that nonsense. I don't have I don't advertisements on my YouTube here, and it's fine. Anyway, if you do want to help the site out, Bitcoin, Litecoin, QR codes are up on the screen. You can buy your Smaulgld mugs. You can send checks, money order. I actually got a postal order. That was very nice. Never got one of those before. Sent to Smaulgld LLC, P.O. Box 714, Dover, New Hampshire 03821. I've got silver in the mail sometimes. Or you can become a Smaulgld patron or Smaulgld Subscribe Star Mug Club member. You do get, when you sign up on Patreon, I don't remember the numbers, you can go check them out. You do get a free mug or two, depending on how much. And I send them, it's like you buying the mugs. But then you become a patron, and I hope you stay. Some people adjust their subscription a little downward, but at least they're part of the Smaulgld mug stacking game changers. The same with Subscribe Store. You can make a one-time donation via PayPal. All right, let's see who we got in the comments, and also to go over and subscribe on BitChute and Smaulgld.com. That's the place to be. That is the place to be. This YouTube stuff. Oh, the other thing I saw today on YouTube is they're making a big deal. I saw it in Hollywood Reporter. BitChute actually noted this to me. They're making a big push to like get celebrities to like come on YouTube and show them their world. And like, so for example, if I was a celebrity tonight, the reason I was a little late, fill you in a little private details here. Hear that sound? Those are not silver or gold coins. That is coffee beans. I was roasting coffee, and I did not want to leave the roaster on because it gets hot, and these are very black beans. So anyway, if I was a celebrity, I'd go on YouTube for 15 minutes in my mansion and talk about how my servant made these beans for me, and I getting my towel from my servant, you know, all that kind of stuff. And people pay to watch that. And that's where YouTube wants to go. So good luck with that. I'm not interested in celebrities, but I am interested in my coffee beans. All right. Let's see what we got here. So when you go to the live chat, you'll see Roger and me bantering, imitating greatest video. You can't dare you. All right. Jeffrey Gotts is here. DW wrote BitChute. It's not showing, but there you go. Showing. Rob B wrote BitChute. Wasn't showing, now showing. All right. Yeah, but if you put BitChute DW in, I guess in quotation marks, it does show up without me having to approve it. Fiona is here. All right. Roger's apologizing Fiona for something. Wall Street for Repoos got it all. Yeah. Well, you know what it is. I don't blame Jason for going in that direction. I mean, apparently he's making money now. People love to have their buttons pushed. So if he comes on, I can't listen to him. If he comes on every night and starts talking about repo madness and everybody's talking about the collapse and getting all excited, you're the best, you know, okay. And they send the money because of that. If that's what you want to do, have at it. But it's not. Never mind. All right. Pablo Hall, I'm late, not getting notified. Of course you're not getting notified. It's YouTube. You know, BitChute has a notification. Go over there and check it out. They email you too after I post there. Also, BitChute is now, I'm like their new buddy. BitChute is now automatically uploading my stuff and not having to wait. I was manually uploading to BitChute after, and then I had this thing where you can put in your YouTube code and it would upload it within like 3 days, and I know it was happening. People are getting pissed off because they're like, why are you sending this? I'm like, I'm not sending it. So anyway, BitChute has it now where after I upload to YouTube, they try to upload it as soon as possible. So you're not going to miss anything. And then I do upload directly then to Patreon and to Subscribestar. And then I post on the Smaulgld site. So all the charts and the links and everything that I discuss, like I don't put below the YouTube or BitChute. They're on the Smaulgld site. So there's a reason to go over there too. YouTube must hate this. See, now DW wrote BitChute with the IUT. That didn't get taken away. That's up there. That's fine. All right. What else? Law. Lewis did his Greta impression. Yep. I did. All right. What else do we have here? Roger. Greta Pena. Herb Levin. Okay. Now, Herb's comment, you guys aren't seeing it because it is hidden because he wrote BHIT shoot. I'll show it to you right now. You got to go back in the chat. Beat shoot, he wrote. What else? Smaulgld will be sad to see you go. Well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to another platform, and you're welcome to go over there. I mean, eventually BitChute will have live streams too. And you can always email me. I'm not going anywhere. It's just that this platform is horrible. There's no two ways about it. I don't make any money off of it. They don't promote my stuff. BitChute even retweets my BitChutes. I mean, you can't do better than that. So that's a problem I also have with content creators. They bitch and complain about YouTube, and yet they're always bragging about how many YouTube subscribers they have. When they go on social media or Facebook or Twitter, they post their YouTubes, even though they have BitChute accounts. And I know why they do it, because they want to get the revenue from their YouTube that you don't get from BitChute. But once BitChute adds monetization, then I bet some of them will start promoting their BitChutes just to see how it works. And I mean, none of these, not none, but most of the alternative media, I'm not just talking about the conspiracy theorists and the ones that are way out there, but even just ones that just aren't Fox News and CNN, the ones that are just independent content creators, they're not happy with YouTube. And YouTube seems like they don't want them anyway. They want to put this Hollywood superstar BS, look at my coffee beans, look at my bathrobe stuff. That's what they want. That's what they think people want. They can promote whatever they want that way. It's a lot easier to have a stable of Hollywood performers. You can then upsell the movies. You can upsell their, here's me with my dog. I'm rich and I'm famous. Look at me. Here's my other rich and famous buddy. Look at his dog. There's a market for that crap. People like that stuff. I don't. All right. Fiona says, I'll send you more Amber. Just keep your live streams. Well, Fiona, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep using YouTube to do live streams. But what I'm suggesting is at some point I'm not going to do them anymore. And probably I won't do them anymore when they kick me off. I don't say any, and really I don't. Listen to this. I rarely go on the back end of YouTube and look at the analytics. I'm not trying to do anything with this. But anyway, I'm looking in there and it has terms that I'd like to censor. And I don't remember what they were. There were 3 of them. They were really ridiculous. One of them was Podesta. I'm like, why do I don't even talk about that stuff. It's like YouTube went in there and put the words in there so that they wouldn't appear in my live stream. I don't talk about that stuff. I wouldn't go in there and make that a word I don't want to hear. No one on this channel even... There may be people in the chat that may on other channels watch that stuff, but I don't pay attention to that stuff. And I could care less. But the point is that YouTube put that in there to make sure. Another time I had a video, I was talking about climate change. Well, it wasn't even the purpose of the show. And they flagged my video with some stupid Wikipedia article on what climate change actually is, lest anyone got the wrong impression that maybe we weren't giving climate change the proper adoration, that it needed. And it was really, we were making throwaway comments. The purpose of the video wasn't even about climate change, but they heard climate change, and they had to flag the video with a Wikipedia article. I don't need that. I don't know what's going to happen to this video because I was talking about BitChute. It's probably some violation, terms of service or something. Who knows? But again, I'm not monetized here, and as you know, the stream doesn't even work half the time. I get cut off. Right now, I'm staring at the stream to make sure that it doesn't go, which is confusing because then I can't look at the charts that I want to show you at the same time. I can't just go off on a roll. I have to sit here and stare at the screen and look at the stream to make sure that it's not cutting off. That's why I used to get cut off a lot, and then I'd go on for like 10 minutes and then realize, oh no, when did I get cut off? Now I know when I get cut off. I can see it happen, and I've got a system where I can click myself back on. And sometimes I can't do it fast enough in the stream. Yeah. See if you get kicked off. Yeah, exactly, Barry. I don't talk about that stuff. The reason I have a problem with this channel is I talk about economics, cryptocurrencies, gold and silver. I don't talk about hot button issues. I mean, maybe once in a while I'll make fun of Bernie Sanders. What the 1% on this guy? But again, I'm milquetoast compared to what I could be. And still, this channel is not for me. I mean, this platform is not for me. So I don't know why other people put up, especially if you're a channel. I mean, there are some channels out there, they do push the envelope, and they're still on YouTube. And then one day they wake up and they find out they're gone, and then they complain. Okay, but I blame the listeners and the viewers too. They're kind of addicted to staying on here. It's almost like being in a party where no one wants you to be there, and you're like, no, we're gonna stay here and we're gonna have a good time. Like, no, it's time for you to leave. No, we're gonna stay. All right, I think it is time for me to leave. Yep. Any more comments? No. All right. So please go over and subscribe on Smaulgld.com and on YouTube and on BitChute, because that's where it's all going to end up. It's not going to stay here forever. And of course, when you sign up at Smaulgld, you then are connected to Smaulgld. You can email me, and if you're a patron or a subscribe star or PayPal, Those are the ways to stay in touch. Trying to stay in touch to YouTube is a fool's errand. It's not going to happen. All right. Where's Barrett says, hey, I went to BitChute when you went. All right. But you see your comment isn't showing, but now I'm going to show it. Roger Henley says, I wish SGT would get terminated again. You know, SGT, now there's a guy who's got a massive following on YouTube, but I can understand why he wants to preserve that. I mean, he's got 500 and it's a ridiculous number. But then what he does is he sets up a backup YouTube channel. Like if the first one gets shut down, YouTube's not going to figure out, like they're going to kick him off of one channel and say, oh, we don't know about your other YouTube channel. I don't know what the strategy there is, but he does, to his credit, post on BitChute, but he doesn't promote it. He does post on, I'm sure he posts on a lot of, I know he posts on, I think it was BitTube, I think is another one. I used to post, I stopped posting on, there was another one, Brighteon. They said I didn't have enough views. I'm like, well, yeah, if you take me down, I'm not going to have enough views. So they were having server issues. Anyway, Smaulgld.com, BitChute, and subscribe to this. Maybe I can get to 4,000 subscribers. Maybe I'll stay till I get 1 million views. I think I have 820,000 just to say I got there. I don't know. All right. Have a good night.